Hello everyone. Steel types are a very strong type. The only issue I have with them is how scarce they are in the games. For example, in Omega Ruby, this is what we have to play with. But regardless, they are fun Pokemon and I wanted to do a Hardcore Nuzlocke with them. Rules are as follows. Fainted Pokemon are dead and can't be used again. You can only catch the first Pokemon of each type in each route. You cannot use items in battle. You cannot overlevel past the gym leader's highest level Pokemon. And you must play on set mode. Right, with that done, let's get into the run. We start off jumping out of the moving van to some wonderful scenery. I then head next door to introduce myself to the girl there. I'm really curious as to how she gets her hair to clump together. It just bobs up and down, but the strands stay together. It's so weird. I then head on to the first route where I grab Trico, as I think Blaziken's fire and fighting moves, which are both super effective against steel, are the ones we want to be fighting. Now, this Trico has a brave nature, and it seems to have mutated. Well, I'm sure it'll serve us just fine anyway. With our first Pokemon obtained, we can go and battle May, but as you can guess, it's a walkover as she only knows a normal type move, which obviously does nothing to us being a steel type. After beating her, we head back to her dad and she shows me how well she can handle balls before handing them back to me. Like, come on dear, your dad's right there. She then wants us to sneak up to a Pokemon, but we need to assert our dominance by stomping the grass down and scaring it away. I can now head on to my father's gym where we're having a conversation and we get interrupted by Wally, who asks us to assist him with catching a Pokemon. And this lucky bugger finds a Ralts on his first encounter. Why can't I get look like that on my normal Nuzlockes? Once this is done, I head on to Petalburg Woods where we're introduced to Team Magma and make very quick work of clearing them away, as at this point in the game we are pretty OP. And after that, I'm ready to take on the first gym, being Roxanne. Now, we don't have a steel move at this point, so I opt to use a variation of Fairy Wind and Bite to take down the Geodude. I then use Fairy Wind against the Nosepass, but it isn't doing much, so I switch into using Bite, and after a little bit of time, we manage to defeat it. After this, we are introduced to Mr. Stone, who gives us the news on our new Pokémon. I mean, you could have just said you were ungrateful that we saved your company. That would have done the job that you've done here. I then go to Mr. Briney's house, and although he's a bit senile chasing that Wingull around, he's sure fit for an old man. Anyway, he lets us use his boat to go to Dewford Town. In Dewford Town, I start on by taking on the gym leader Brawly. He has fighting type Pokemon, but we have Razor, and with him knowing Fairy Wind, we don't have to worry about too much, as all we need to do is use the Fairy Wind and we take down all of his Pokemon. After this, we meet Stephen Stone, who's looking at a wall. The hobbies some people have seemed to baffle me. Anyway, he rambles on about some story, but we don't pay too much attention, therefore he leaves us. After this, we head on to Slateport, where we have to find Stern, and we get ambushed by Team Magma. The first one has a Numel, and I use Bite to try flinch it as it knows fire moves, but it ends up just using Focus Energy, meaning we beat him flawlessly. The second one also has a Zubat, but it's literally the exact same once we're onto his Numel, so nothing interesting. However, once it's done, we meet Maxi, the guy who was given a downgrade on the looks in these games. After this, we attempt to leave the city but get stopped by the Fashion Brigade. They tell us how fabulous we are and we should run for Mr. Universe, and I've got to say, I totally agree. I then have May to battle next, however I don't stand a chance normally. Thankful in this game there is EV training on your Pokénav, so I decide it's time to max Razor out. I opt for full attack and a mix between HP and defense for the rest. And with that, we're ready to battle her. I start off using Rock Tomb against the Whalmer because it makes us faster, meaning I can now attempt to use a Bite Flinch, which I don't get, but he does miss his rollout, so I'll take it anyway. Next up is Combusken, who goes for a double kick as I hit a Rock Tomb. I then hit another one as he does major damage to us, but I equipped an Oran Berry so I can heal myself up. He's then in range of a Bite, so I use that as I don't want to chance a miss with the Rock Tomb. After that, all that's left is the Shroomish, and it does knock us low, but we do manage to get enough hits off where we actually take it out. With that done, we head on to grab a bike, which will give us access to our second Pokemon, Aron. However, because I've caught this here, I now will not have access to Promo Pass in this run. He's a mild nature which is pretty grim as it lowers our defense and ups our special attack, which if anything you kinda want the opposite on an Aaron. Now that's done, I can head on to the next gym leader being Watson. At this point though, I had taught my Mawile Power Up Punch, meaning we're in a really good position as we get our attack raised each turn. The Magnemite does start off paralysing us, but I did equip a Cherry Berry. This means that I cure it and the Magnemite goes down easily. The Voltorb doesn't stand a chance because we've already raised our attack, and then finally we have the Magneton who confuses us, but thankfully we do hit through it and take him out in one. After this I do a few trick rooms to get some of the items from them, and then we can head on to getting ourselves another team member in Skarmory. It has a naive nature which is plus speed, minus special defense, and honestly, I don't mind that, it's pretty decent for a Skarmory. With that, I head on to Meteor Falls where we are introduced to Archie. Now that is how you do a glow up, Game Freak. Well done on this one. He wants us to head up onto Mount Chimney, so we take the cable car up there. I do love the little cutscenes in this game. Now we have our first battle against Maxie. I start out by using Power Up Punch against his Mightyena as he goes for a Swagger. I did predict this though as I equipped a Persian Berry to cure it, and now I have +2 attack for free. This means I'm now prepared and can go and one-shot his Camerupt, and finally he has a Golbat and we just need to hit a Rock Tomb, and thankfully on the second attempt we do hit one and we win this battle. Now we have the Flannery battle, and I did actually equip the Expert Belt onto my Nugget in order to do this battle. I can take the Slugma out with one dig because of that. I then protect against the Numel to see which move it's going for. Since it's going for Earth Power, I switch into Blade to nullify the attack. I can now set up some spikes before switching to Air Cutter, which does great damage to Numel. Unfortunately, on the next turn, he does hit us with a Lava Plume and burns me, meaning I need to switch back into Nugget again. I use a Dig and that finishes that off, and now all that's left is Torkoal. I use Protect, but it was actually a bad move as it's sunny days. Then I switch to Rock Slide and do great damage. I then Protect again, but am met with a Curse. I don't even know why the AI did this, but since it's all it did, I'm not going to complain as it gave us the win. We probably could have been knocked decently low here, maybe even taken out to be honest, but for some reason the AI just doesn't think it's a good idea. If any of you guys know, could you let me know, because I really don't have a clue what's going on there. Nothing really happens before the next gym, so we'll just go right onto it. I start off with Razor and use a Taunt to make it so it can only attack us. I then switch to Nugget and go back to Razor to get an Intimidate off. Now it's just time to use Power Up Punch until it gets taken out. Vigoroth uses Encore, so I take him out to respect it. That's a true Encore, we took him out and used the same attack. And then finally we have Slaking, and it's actually impossible for him to take us out in one. Therefore all we need to do is hit it twice. And since it has Truant, we hit it twice by the time it only hits us once, so we've won the battle. Now, I was planning on going to New Morville and grabbing a Magnemite, but I forgot it's actually delayed until after Groudon in this game. Therefore, I decided instead to go and grab Sweet Scent on Razor, which grabs us a horde of Magnemite, and I'm sure to grab one that has the Sturdy ability. I then mess about with the Dowsing Machine as I apparently don't know how to use it, and I needed another Heart Scale to get Play Rough. I then run into Steven again, and this time Latias comes and drags us to an island. We have a double battle with him against some Magma Grunts, and this goes by insanely quickly as we're pretty powerful, and obviously so is his Metang. After this we can evolve Aron into Lairon, and our Magnemite into a Magneton. I then have the Tabitha battle, and he has a pretty powerful Camerupt, therefore I was a bit scared. But for whatever reason, it refused to attack me. It just cursed away until the last turn where it hits me and burns me. But thankfully, thanks to my berry, I cure the burn, so I'm fine. This means he's now been taken out. I really can't figure out the AI in this game at all. Anyway, we move on to another May fight. However, there really isn't much to worry about in this one. I've just evolved into a Magneton, and we have a pretty solid team and counters for all of her Pokemon. Therefore, it is an absolute doddle getting past her. We then have the Winona fight, and I start off with Magneton, who manages to take the Swellow out with one Thundershock. After this, her Altaria comes out and it only has 2 attacking moves in Earthquake and Dragon Breath, which I can switch between Skarmory and Mawile to avoid. However, I accidentally misclicked due to the change in position in party and switched to Magneton on an Earthquake turn. Thankfully, it survives and we can carry on with our strat. Once it's out of moves, we actually use Power Up Punch on Razor to up our attack before taking the Altaria out. We one-shot the Skarmory using a Play Rough, and then on the Pelipper, we actually miss our Play Rough. Therefore, I'm not wanting to risk another miss, so I switch into Magneton, who can take the Pelipper down relatively easy, and his move is 100% accuracy. Therefore, we get the 6th gym badge. Now we head on to Mount Pyre, and it turns out the glasses on Maxi have actually improved his intelligence massively. He genuinely picks up the red orb this time. Well done. Red, most likely to work with the red Pokemon. Bravo, Maxi. Now we move on to Lilycove, where we encounter May again, and she asks us for another battle. Again though, we have an amazing team, we have amazing counters for all of her Pokemon, so all I need to do is take advantage of all of them, and we blitz right on through her. Even the tank that is Wailord fell to 1 hit from my Razor, and I used her Baton Pass just to spice stuff up, but he probably would have taken the Breloom out in 1 as well. In the hideout, we run into an Electrode, and this thing just can't have wanted to be around anymore. He self-destructs as we're underground, so it wasn't even a battle strategy. Obviously, he didn't want to hurt us, and he just was sick of the world. Well, I'm 24, I can understand having a very negative mindset. I also run into 5 goons who think they can ambush me, but Nugget has Rock Slide, so yeah. They didn't quite think that one through now, did they? After this, we see the submarine get away, and I'll tell you what, say what you want about Team Magma, but even with their mission on the line and imperative to be getting done as soon as possible, they took the time to customize this, give it an amazing paint job in the shape of a Camerupt, and set off before to have style points. You gotta give them credit where it's due. Now we're at the point in the game where Nugget can finally become an Aggron. I have been waiting for so long for this. And then we have the 7th gym, Tate and Liza, and honestly, they should have kept the Emerald Pokemon and movesets. They removed the ability to use Earthquake and the ability to use Flamethrower. On top of that, they have 2 Pokemon, both of which are weak to Steel moves. Like, what was the point in that? That is just bad game design. They had a perfect team set. Why not just use that? We obviously fly through it because of it, and this could have actually been a tough battle if not. Upon exiting this gym though, we do see someone is reenacting Independence Day. Wonderful to look at, isn't it? And moving on, we have the final Maxi fight. However, they have removed his fire moves and his ground moves from his Camerupt. This means that he literally isn't a threat now. This was honestly just another moment of bad game design. They should have added stab moves to this Pokemon, as he does become Mega, but what does it matter if he can't use any stab moves and do decent damage to us? Because let's be honest, you can easily have Steel Pokemon at this point in the game. They should have made a counter to it. Aggron literally took 2 hits to finish it off, and all it can do is Rock Slide us. It's a bit of a joke. Anyway, rants aside, Maxi now awakens Groudon from its slumber to then see it take up surfing. We then go back above ground and we can finally see what Maxi's plan was. He wanted it to be constant sun. This man is trying to rid the world of the Gingers. Now, I'm Ginger myself. This is not okay. Anyway, Steven comes flying along and reveals to us he has incredibly pale skin. It's because he's ginger. So what he needs to do is he needs to quickly fly away, find some shade in order to survive. We then meet up with everyone outside Origin Cave, and after receiving a scuba suit for lava and watching King of Poses Wallace, we actually have May catch up with us, and she says she has something to say to us.
I love you.
I know.
With them pleasantries out of the way, I head down into Origin Cave, and I actually get to ride a Groudon. Best theme park ever! I get to ride a legendary Pokemon like it's nothing. But seriously though, like looking at this, Didn't you all ever imagine Groudon as much bigger? Like, we're essentially half the size of him. It's pretty weird to look at. Now we have the Primal Groudon battle, and he does over 100% damage to all of our Pokemon. So what you're thinking here is you've got to use the Master Ball, surely. Use it and it'll be out of the way. But I say no. There is a way of winning this battle, and I'm going to attempt it. I lead with Magneton, who uses Toxic and then protects to help the Toxic damage add up. I then switch into Skarmory because it will not be affected by the ground move, meaning there is more tick over. After a protect with him, I know Groudon will either use a fire move or rest, neither of which can take out Aggron, so we switch into him, and then all we need to do is we need to Mega Evolve and use 2 Earthquakes, and we win. Now, I know I did use Mega Evolution, but let's be honest, I could have just cheesed it with the Master Ball, and this is actually the only bit of Mega Evolution you're going to see in this run. I need to find a way of putting him in the thumbnail after all. And with that victory, we plunge Hoenn into its era as the Sparkle region. Finally, the 8th gym battle is upon us. We'd lead with Magneton, who can one-shot the Love Disc with a discharge. He then sends out his Whiscash, so I switch into Skarmory as it knows Earthquake, which is deadly to every other member of my team. 2 flies and the Whiscash is down. After this, we have the Milotic, and I know I can't one-shot it with Magneton, so I do some damage with Fly as he hits a Hydro Pump. Which, of course, crits and takes us down. That is actually mortifying. Like, I don't think you guys understand. I know the ranges on that. There was a 30% chance of a crit taking us out. So we needed the chance of a crit and the range, which is 30% to happen. All of the rolls would have been fine. Every single one would have been fine, but no, we had to get super unlucky with this, and I'm gutted, as I really liked Skarmory, and he was going to be very useful for Drake, but now we're down to 3 team members. We then have to send in Magneton, who, now Milotic is weakened, we can take it out with 1 discharge. Then all that's left is Celio and Seaking, but Magneton is both faster and can one-shot both of them with discharge, meaning we win the battle, but not without tragedy. We will do you proud, Blade. We're finishing this run on your behalf. And on exiting this gym, for whatever reason, we no longer weigh as much as we did, as the cracked ice doesn't break as we walk over it. Like, that just doesn't make sense physics-wise. What is going on? With that, we can head on to Victory Road, and we have our battle versus Wally. However, in this battle, I actually have no fears. I start off with Mawile and take advantage of Altaria not being too great against us. I set up some power-up punches to up our attack before taking it out. I then Sucker Punch the Magneton, but I did forget about Sturdy. Thankfully, he didn't crit us, so we survive and can Sucker Punch it. We take the Roselia out with a Play Rough and the Delcatty with a power-up punch, so that we can save the final PP of Sucker Punch for Gallade. However, he had other plans. He wastes that PP of Sucker Punch by using a Sword Stance. This means I don't feel safe staying in, as I know I can't take another hit. Therefore, I switch into Magneton, and on the turn, I actually switch in. He does use another Sword Stance. This means I can use Toxic, as I've got Sturdy, so he can't one-hit KO us. After this, I use Protect to stall the Toxic a bit, before getting a Discharge and being knocked low enough, whereas I need to switch out to survive. On the switch out, he does crit my Aggron, but it doesn't do enough damage to take him out, meaning he succumbs to the poison damage, and we win this battle. Now, finally, we have made it to the Elite Four, and I did a lot of brainstorming for all of this, but we've got there, and now I can start by taking on Sydney. I use Power-Up Punch strategy whilst having a Berry in case of Swagger. This is enough to take out the Mightyena, Shiftry, and Sharpedo. However, at the point of Sharpedo being taken out and his Rough Skin, we're actually quite low, so I need to switch to Sucker Punch. This is enough to take out both Absol and Cacturn. Quite an easy first battle, thanks to the advantage we have here, and honestly, I didn't expect this to be hard anyway. That's why I actually set up my level cap to his highest level Pokemon. That way I'm not going to be like wiping the Elite Four mentally. Now we have Phoebe, and I changed my move setup for this battle and used a PP max on Sucker Punch, Plus, I gave Mawile the Expert Bell. I used Taunt against the first Dusclops, so it has to attack us before setting up a Sword Stance and going for Sucker Punch. Dusknoir can only attack, so I can safely Sucker Punch and take it out. After this, we have Banette, who actually Will-O-Wisps as I go for a Taunt. We can now use another Sucker Punch because it has to attack and we take it out. After this, we're burnt and around half health, so I actually Baton Pass into Nugget, and he just needs to use 2 Earthquakes and this battle is completely over. Now we have Glacier, the Ice-type trainer. I start off with Mawile, set up 2 power-up punches against the Glalie. It's low enough at this point where I can Baton Pass into my Aggron, who I can use Automize with so I can outspeed his team. Walrein is the only threat here, but thankfully it goes down to 1 Rock Slide. Even if we did miss 1, it wouldn't have finished us off because it can't even kill us with a crit. Therefore, we would have been safe. And once Walrein's out the way, the rest of them are easy, as we can just Iron Head our way to victory. Next up is the final Elite Four member, being Drake. He starts off with Altaria, who can't do anything against us. Therefore, I max my attack out with Sword Stance before Baton Passing into Nugget and using an Automize to gain enough speed so I can outspeed every one of his Pokemon. Then, from there on, I can finish the Altaria in a Rock Slide, Iron Head the Flygon. I equipped Soft Sand so Earthquake would one-shot the Kingdra. His next Flygon follows the same fate as the previous one, and then all that's left is to land a Rock Slide on the Salamence. I said Rock Slide the Salamence. Oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. Well, 3rd time's the charm, we do hit it, and obviously that's going to finish him off. And that means we're at the final hurdle. All that's left is Steven to battle now, so let's get right into it. We start off with the same strategy we had against Drake by setting up Sword Stance to max out our attack before Baton Passing into Nugget. We get Nimble with him before proceeding to sweep his entire team. Aggron does have Sturdy, but it can't take us out unless it gets a crit, and it doesn't, meaning we can quickly get all the way through the rest of his team up until his ace Pokemon, Metagross. Which I actually forgot had a priority move, so it does take Aggron out. However, I'm going to tell you guys now, even if I had remembered about this, I would have sacked Aggron, as it would have just made sense here. With Aggron down, I actually choose to use Magneton next. This is because I'm not confident Sucker Punch will one-hit KO, and I wanted to do a bit of chip damage to him. However, the Discharge paralyzes him on the first one. He's then immobile on the second turn, meaning Magneton actually gets us the victory. I'll tell you what, this was a nice bit of luck after how shafted we got in the last run. I really enjoyed this run. Steel typing is actually really fun to use, and although we didn't have many Pokemon, they all pulled their weight in this run. Also, I used held items here, and I want to know your opinions. Do you guys like it when held items are used, or would you prefer to see my normal videos where they're not? If you enjoyed the video, a like would greatly help me out, as it would spread the video further to a greater audience. As always, leave your run suggestions below and subscribe to see them and more runs like this. Hope you all have a great day, and goodbye.